Have a senator here. Senior Senator Lundin is going to present his proposal, SP6, page 233. So would you please all open your book, find your page 233. The title of this proposal is 442nd Regimental Combat Team Day. So with this, and I would like to ask anyone against in discussion of this topic this afternoon. Hearing none, we're going to go ahead. Senior Senator Lundin, if you are ready, we are ready.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you. Dear friends all, I thought about this because I'm very connected with veterans and all sorts of things with the military. It's one of my major jobs when I don't see you guys. And the 442nd has never really been honored with a day in California. Now, these are Japanese American young men who, with their parents and the rest of their families incarcerated for the war, still raised their right hand. I do. And got into a unit that went through Italy and southern France and was the most highly decorated unit of any regimental size in the United States Army, and that's saying a lot. And so these guys pushed aside what had happened. Oh, I assume it's on their mind, but they wanted to prove something to us, and they surely did. And they got the most medals of honors, distinguished service crosses, I believe silver stars and bronze stars and purple hearts of any unit that size. And it's just the fact that it came to mind during this terrible suffering of the Japanese people during the last tsunami, which is be evident in 2 years off of our shores. There's a huge, huge piles of things floating this way in the Japanese current that comes to the northwest of our country and Alaska. And I was just thinking, I said, come on, these guys were from California and Hawaii. Hawaii has a day for them, but California doesn't. So I'm working with Assemblywoman Mariko Yamada on this and hope to have success. It's a no-coster. The American Legion and Veterans of Foreign Wars will put on beer, hot dogs, and things, and just have a good day with all veterans that are living of all the wars, or their spouses or their families. It's just another day of celebration of extreme bravery, and they were our own Californians. And I think a lot of other people would have told the government to go to hell. But these people just served so honorably. It was amazing. And I just thought it would be the right thing to do.
Good. Thank you for your presentation. Do we have any questions or comments? I see one. Marcia? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Senior Senator, for proposing this. I don't think we can ever say thank you enough to those who have served our country. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Terry?
Has a specific date been set in mind?
No, I leave that to the number crunchers because we can't set a date. Something else will come up. It's one of those things you can't let them do it in the state.
The San Diego Historical Society does honor those as the Japanese that have served in the Japanese during World War II, and perhaps a good coordination between those organizations that already established celebrations to combine with yours. Great
Yes,
idea.
I think Assemblywoman Yamada has all that information,
Yeah.
because she says it's spotty throughout California. Hawaii has a day set, because most of the guys came from the Aloha State.
Yes.
But good idea, yes.
Excellent.
We will work with that to make sure that all the days that are so close can be won.
Yes, excellent idea.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you. Senior Assemblywoman Norma Jackson.
You will have to pardon the pun, but I think it is an admirable idea.
Generally speaking, I agree with you.
Touche, touche. Anyway,
Okay.
just go for it. It is a fabulous idea.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for
Great.
presenting it.
Thank you. Senior Assembly Member Terry.
One thing I want to ask you. I agree with this 100%. In fact, my across the street neighbor was named Kenny Takayama. That he was in this regiment, and he when the government gave people money that was incarcerated, he was madder than all Dickens, because he was in the Army, but his wife got it, and so. But he didn't get it, you know. But I want to ask you about a date. You know what October the 13th is, or November the 14th? What's significant about those two dates?
Please refresh my memory. I'm getting.
Well, now, you're talking to a retired Navy guy here. One of them's a birthday for the Navy, and the other one's a birthday for the Marine Corps. So you got to remember them guys too, you know.
Oh, yeah, and the Army, which is the daddy of all the services, 336 years. So I just thought I'd tell you that.
Senior Assembly Member Ms. Evelyn Tom.
General, you're priceless. Thank you very much for doing this. I have met the Medal of Honors who were, but again, having a medal but not recognized in a day is very disheartening. So I totally support this. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other comments? No? Okay. If that's the case, do we entertain a motion?
So moved.
Okay.
So moved.
Okay. Ted moved and Norma second. Thank you. If no more questions, no more discussion, I'm going to call for a question. For those who agreed and support, please say aye.
Aye.
If against, no. Abstain, no. So it's a unanimous.
Well, thank you.
Congratulations. Yeah,
Thank you,
thank you
Madam
for the excellent proposal. Everyone just wholeheartedly supported. Thank you. Since you are here,
Yes.
Senior Senator, do you mind to be here, speak for SP9, which is page 235.
Right.
So all Senior Assembly member, page 235. This is, wait a minute.
I'm sorry.
This is SP9, statewide elder protection courts. If everyone has no problem to find page 235, and do you have any questions or against our discussion for this proposal? Hearing none, we should let Senior Senator to present. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Long time in coming. Seniors they've passed away before they realized any satisfaction in any of the suits that they have brought or the family has brought against people who have injured these seniors. Usually the cases get sloughed off to other courts within that main court body, county court body, and they take very low priority for seniors. criminal is the biggest, highest one, and anything to do with children. Whammo bammo, that's automatic. But seniors, it seems that we get slowed down. Now, I've got some good news. Not only Alameda has a successful court, but also Contra Costa, and now we've just picked up Napa County. A lot of people just think, oh, Napa, that's where you get drunk. No, it's a very important county because of the climate. Seniors are there and of age. And between my PSA, which is Napa Solano, I believe I can say that the most seniors over 80 or so are in Napa County. And it's a little bit slower. It's agricultural. It's not the hubbub of Solano. But that doesn't matter. They want it. So that means that 3 major counties are now behind this. And we've got the spare courtrooms. Don't let anybody tell me that there isn't something going on in every courtroom. That's not true. And we've got retired judges that would eat this up. I mean, just come forth and slam dunk people because of their behavior against seniors. So, and we've got a very unique situation where Sacramento County is surrounded by 7 smaller counties. And they probably could agree to centralize it in the Sacramento courthouse for the 7 smaller counties and just add them up. And believe me, there's nothing but senior cases piled up. I don't care how trivial people would think they are. To that senior, they're important. To us, should we say us? So I've had this on the board for about 3 years, never got any place with it. So I'm trying again, and we'll continue to try until we get this done. Thank you.
Thank you. We do have a question or comment. Senior Assembly Member Shirley Crone.
Thank you for the proposal. I was one of those persons on the committee and the task force responsible for putting together the Contra Costa Elder Court. And at one of our meetings, we had representatives from Orange County and Ventura County who are also interested in establishing a similar court and may have already done so by now because this was a while ago. So I'm glad to see Napa on board. And our court has been tremendously successful, as has the Alameda County Court. So I hope you get this thing approved because it's much needed and it's very welcomed by the senior community. Thank you for bringing it.
And thank you for your hard work, and also Terry at the, PSA. She worked a lot on this. There's been a lot of people in the background that have given me the information and the sort of courage to come forward with something like this.
Very good. Thank you. Next is a Senior Assembly Member Bob Petty.
Thank you, Alice. I think this is fantastic, and I see it probably maybe as just the first step toward increasing ways of preventing elder abuse, and something that we're going to need more and more as we have more and more individuals like myself turning into seniors as I sit here. And frankly, I'm a little surprised that it passed the corresponding Senate committee unanimously and was on the consent calendar because several times this group has questioned a proposal, not because we didn't like the intent of it, but because it used words like encourage, allow, recommend. And we sometimes feel like there's not enough strength or not enough teeth in it if it just says, well, we encourage the court to do something. Well, I mean, frankly, I would rather the bill get passed and become state law with the word require rather than encourage in it. And I'm not sure if, I know in the Senate Policy Committee it was up for amendment. Is it, may we amend it here as well?
Sure. Yes. We could.
I know, and if you amend it, then we don't need to vote or discuss. But mostly I'm wondering whether you would be open to amending that one word from encourage
to require.
To require.
Yes, anything to get it through, except am I killing myself by taking it off the consent calendar?
Well, one point of view is that if it's on the consent calendar, nobody hears about it tomorrow morning. And if even just one person votes no or it gets amended, then you get to talk about it tomorrow morning, whether we want to hear you again or not.
That's why you're a psychologist, Bob.
So there's some strategy.
That was smooth. I loved it.
If I were you, I'd want one descending a vote, even if it weren't amended, just so I could get up the next day and talk about it. So anyhow, because I believe in it very strongly, I would like to see it even more strongly proposed with the word require rather than encourage.
Okay, I'm open to anything to get this thing going. I'm not proud to hold up anything.
Okay.
Yes, require, ma'am?
Bob, any suggestion? What do you want to do? Wait.
Let's hear your comments first.
Okay,
Well, it was
if
just
that's
my-
the case,
I'm sorry.
is it
I
Billy
thought
has the Billy Taylor.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, it's my understanding that we are going to be able to comment on the consent calendar tomorrow. I talked with Richard because that is a bad position to be in if you're on the consent calendar and nobody's ever heard your proposition. And another thing, sometimes we get a little too expert on these things as far as words and things like that. When the legislator themselves pick these up, it's not going to look like this. It's going to be like they write it. So it's up to them how they want to word it.
Okay, good. Marcia?
Please correct me if I'm wrong, but my understanding is if the author makes an amendment, it does not, it can still go on the consent calendar. No. If it's an author made?
No, they have to present tomorrow. Yes. Okay. So in other words, if we change the wording from encourage to any other wording, this has to be on the Senate, no, on the our floor again tomorrow. Yeah. So actually, no big deal. Your presentation is very good, short and succinct, get to the point. So now it just depends on how we want to do it. Okay. Any other questions, comments, suggestion? Oh, I'm so sorry. Senior Assembly Member Norma Jackson.
Yes, in Kern County, we have a provision that anyone over the age of 75 is entitled to preference in their filings of civil complaints. But even with that, it is amazing the rate of demise of seniors. So I am wholeheartedly in favor of this bill. Thank you.
Thank you. I don't know. Bob, I respect very much his opinion, and et cetera, but I would rather leave it on the consent calendar. It's the furthest I've ever gotten with this. You know, it's always something, if, and, but, who, where, when, how. So may I remain with it? And Bob, you speak to it when you get up there.
I believe only the proposer gets to say a few words about the item when it's on the consent calendar and it's not up for discussion by other members in the assembly room. whereas if it weren't on the consent calendar, then I could stand up and say bravo. But, you know, it really speaks for itself, and I know you'll speak well on its behalf. So whatever you choose, you go for it, Rich.
I'll stay on consent. Like I said, it's the furthest I've ever gotten with this.
Okay, good. I think we have enough discussion with that. Am I right? So I'm entertaining a motion. Anyone?
I'll second it.
What is the motion? We vote on that. Okay, good. And Resource Secretary, one motion, we vote on that, and we have Shirley Crone seconded. Okay. So if that's the case, we're going to vote on that. Okay, for all those who are in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Who against? No. Oh, no. Okay. So one no. Any abstention? No. So that's it's passed with the one dissenting vote. Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thank you. Good. Thank you.
If I can mention this for Mrs. Tom, that I happened to ride in the elevator with Assemblywoman Betsy Butler and her chief of staff. And Welcome Home Korea is with them, and they're doing it. So when I removed it, I just removed it for administrative purposes so that I wouldn't have another load on people to listen to it and to do this and that when it's already on its way. So it may have been a dumb thing to do, but I think it'll work out okay.
It's good news anyway. Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay.
Can I address him 1 second? Yeah.
Yes.
General,
Yes, ma'am.
to be very honest with you, I had that discussion with her up at the podium after, and Sam Park and I talked to her. She would welcome anything we need to help her move it along, just to let you know. So I've given her my card.
Okay. So
We're on the way.
It's moving because Congress even has it now.
I told
You know that.
you. All right,
So-
thank you.
Thank you very much for your time, ladies and gentlemen. And wish me well with that senior court. I think we need it.
Okay.
Best luck to you. Yeah.
Okay.
Good. Thank you. Yes.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you.
Bye.
Oh, okay. Ladies and gentlemen of this committee, the reason we started 1 o'clock because Senior Senator Lundin was already here, so that I postponed the roll call for after his presentation. So if you don't mind, we are going to do the roll call right now. Tanya?
Not yet.
Tanya, you probably missed what I said. Yeah. So we're going to do a roll call. Thank you.
You don't want him to come up with you.
Lowe,
Present? Thank you.
Tom,
Here.
Conaway, Kowlishaw, Cutler, Gould, Jackson, Kagan, Crone, Martin, Monge, Petty, Placencia, Rios, Taylor,
Just to be official, I'm assuming they chair because Alice has to go off to present her case. We'd like to welcome Senior Senator Bruce Steer. We are on page 243, SP 13, building standards staircase handrails. Senior Senator Steer, you're up.
Yes, I'm Bruce Steer from PSA 6, San Francisco, and my proposal is to make it mandatory presence of railings on staircases. You think that all staircases have railings, but they don't. There was a building code that was passed in the 1980s, building code number 1012, which said all staircases must have a railing. However, those buildings that were built prior to that date were excused from having railings unless they wanted to put them up. We're not talking about your home. We're talking about public places such as auditoriums, theaters, restaurants, stadiums, museums, where the public gather. And the public should be allowed to be safe from falls. In the year 2008, there were over 12,000 falls. 1,800 of them, 1,808, were fatal, mostly seniors and children. Going upstairs is usually not a big problem, except with women with high heels. But going down can be very, very dangerous if you don't have a handrail, especially if you've lost some of your balance. And I think most seniors lose some of their balance when they get, that way. So we're not talking about falls in the bathtub. We're talking about staircases, and they should all have railings. There's no cost to the state at all because it's up to the public, unless it's the state capitol, of course, and I've checked that out. They all have railings. But I can give you two examples which I experienced. This is one of the reasons I made this proposal. I sat at a baseball game in Oakland, and I watched a man carrying a beer or something down the stairs, and he had no railing, and he lost his balance, and he fell. He had a bad fall. Fell at his head and shoulder. And then I volunteer as a usher at the San Francisco Opera House, and up in the balcony where I usually work, there are railings. After protests, they put them up. But down on the dress circle and the Grand Tier, there are no railings, and it's fairly steep. And the patrons complain, and they don't put them up. But with a mandatory law that says all staircases have to have railings, they'll put them up, or they'll be fined, or however that would work. If you've ever been to Rome and you saw the Spanish steps, they're very long and very steep and very high, and they're made of concrete, and there's no railings. But we have no jurisdictions over Rome. But we do here in California, and I'd like this proposal to be passed for the safety of its public. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions, comments? All right, who was first? Go ahead.
I commend you for writing this. As now somebody, as a senior citizen with wobbly knees, now I'm just beginning to notice that, we need those handrails, and they truly aren't everywhere. In the days of running up the steps like Rocky did, jumping up and down, you know what? That's not us anymore. So I'm appreciative of the effort on this one. Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead, Dolores. You have yours up.
I think it's a very, very good bill, but I do have some questions, and these are really just for information purposes. I know the original Accessibility Act required the option of elevators in public buildings. However, I have also noticed in stadiums and places, once you get up the elevator and then you go to find your seat, there are no handrails. So this is basically a correction to that. Is that correct?
That's right. There are some restaurants that you need a few steps to go up, and they didn't want to, instead of putting in handrails, which doesn't help wheelchairs, they put in little hydraulic lifts.
Oh, right. Oh, okay.
That would be instead of handrails, of course. But
all right. I think it's a
because
very
a handrail doesn't
commendable.
help a wheelchair.
Thank you.
Marcia?
Hi, Senior Senator. I'm all in favor of this. My question is, does this also include national monuments? State monuments. A friend of mine just fell down a flight of steps at an area that is considered to be a California, a Sillamar actually, and very, very she hurt herself quite a bit, and I just want to make sure this includes all public facilities.
Well, I don't know how, if it's a state proposal and a state legislature passes it, I don't know how that would affect the federal government, so I
How
don't
about
know.
California monuments? That includes something that's a California monument that's open to the public. That's what I'm.
I don't know
my
if that would
question.
include, say, a place in Yosemite National Park. I don't know how that would work legally.
No, California, not national monuments, California monuments. Ones that are.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I just want to know if they're included, because I think they should be, and I would like to know that when it says public, it means all public facilities.
It would include the state capitol, and it would include
Perfect.
anything that's under the jurisdiction of California would include that.
Thank you
They have
very much.
mandatory staircase.
Thank you.
Railings.
Hi, I'm totally in favor of the intent of this. I think it's something that we need to do and expand the regulations that already exist. My question, though, is you said it would be at no cost to the state. So my concern, though, is who would enforce the regulation and who would perform the inspections that would be required to make sure that all of these public staircases have been equipped with handrails. Surely that will cost the state something. So I'm just wondering what your thoughts were as to how the enforcement and inspection of the regulation would take place and be funded.
Well, since it would not include private residents, it would just be public things. I would think that would come under the jurisdiction of the Attorney General's office as a law that's being violated. How that would work to make it mandatory and fined or compelled, I don't know the answer to that. But it would be, if it's a law and it's not being enforced properly, then that would come under the office of the Attorney General, I would think. But thank you.
Thank you. Terry?
You said there was over 12,000 falls. Were they all in California, or were they other places also?
I'm not hearing you. I'm sorry.
I say, okay, you mentioned that there was over 12,000 falls. Were they in California?
No,
Or
that
were
was
they
national.
National, so.
2008.
Yeah, all right. Then the guy that fell down the stairs carrying the beer, was it the beer or the stairways?
I don't know for sure. He was taken away by security. And I imagine those 12,000 falls were reported by emergency rooms or however they gather their information. But I can assure you that many, many more people fell that year, not reported.
Well,
I had one of them, I know.
Thank you.
No,
Oh,
I ain't,
I'm told.
cut me short. I'm with Bob. You know, who's going to enforce this and who's going to inspect it, and and that's just another. That's the only thing I got to say about it.
Well, as I was saying before, just that it would have to be, if it's passed into law, it would be enforced at the very top by the Attorney General's office, and then how they enforce it locally, I don't know. That would just be a law that would have to be enforced, and it would be a mandatory punishment of some type or a fine. I guess counties would look into it, or cities and counties and whatever.
We got 2 minutes. Are you through, sir?
Yeah, I'm done.
Okay. Put your thing down. Norma, please.
Okay, sir. In Kern County, we have a part of the government that is called code enforcement. Unfortunately, it is part of the county. The only concern I am for your bill because my mother was prone to falls in her older years. But the counties are so strapped now that when you usually call code enforcement, unless it's such a flagrant violation, it could take a couple of months to get them out there. That's the only concern I would have. But I am for your bill, sir.
Assemblyman Jackson, do you have any suggestions along those lines? It would be a violation of a code if they did put up railings when they were supposed to. This would only be, right now, they have to put up railings by the building code. It's those few and far between, probably all over the state, that have not done that. And once they get the notice to do it, I think they will.
Yeah.
It's public.
I don't have any suggestions, unfortunately, but I wish you luck.
Well, thank you for being in favor of my proposal.
We have time for one more question. Mr. Lewis?
Sir, my name is Luis Monke. I worked for the city of San Diego in code enforcement for 20 years, and I was involved in the Uniform Building Code. The Uniform Building Code is nationwide. The Uniform Building Code addresses all those issues that deals with railings in commercial, residential, and so forth. There are codes. The Uniform Building Code comes out every 3 years. It is amended, and if you have a concern that you feel that could be amended, my recommendation would be to see the building officials of your jurisdiction. That is a best way to address this thing, because not only would you be addressing your local concern, but it would become a national issue. And they will amend the code, and they do amend the code every 3 years.
But I was told that this building code 1012 was a state building code. That's what I was told.
There's no such thing. You know, we do have amendments, or we do. You know, every jurisdiction has the authority to upgrade what's in the national or the Uniform Building Code, which is national. And if the jurisdiction that you're on wants to amend it to a higher level, they have the authority to do so.
That's interesting. Thank you.
Is there any more questions? Can I have a call for the vote? Oh, Bob, go ahead. Last question.
I would like to tap the expertise of our resident attorney.
Do you have a question for me? I can only answer questions.
What would your response be to the concern of inspection and enforcement of any regulation coming out of this proposal?
My guess is that it's going to be enforced through civil lawsuits. If you fall and there is no handrail and there is a state law that says that there needs to be a handrail, one of the elements of negligence is proving that you were negligent. If you were not in compliance with the law, then you have a pretty good case that you were, per se, negligent. So most of the time, and the building owners obviously will know that, so most of the time they're going to not want to deal with that first lawsuit that gets them down that road. They're just going to put the handrails up to avoid those lawsuits.
All right. Any more? Last call.
Okay. Another thing that I want to mention is that the building codes are not retroactive unless there are specific questions and specific health and safety issues. If you have a building that was built in 1940 and your railings and your handrails and your whatever stairs are not up to today's codes, you cannot force them to bring them up to today's codes. Unless it becomes a really critical issue, you can sue them and you can do whatever you want. And if it's proven that when this building was built was under the codes of the existing rules at that time, they're going to throw you out of court.
That's why I'm making this proposal, to make it mandatory.
You
can't hear you.
Go ahead.
What he's saying is you can't make it retroactive. You can't. It's got to be. There's a grandfather clause in there. That's what's already been built has been built. And if it was that code then, you can't make them change it just because you passed another law.
Well, I'd have to talk to the deputy attorney about that. That's a legal issue that I can't really.
That's pretty uniform. You can't. If they start to remodel,
the word "can't" really bothers me. I can't understand that. I don't understand the word "can't."
Okay,
when we have laws that would say otherwise. I don't know. I don't know the answer. It would seem. It would seem.
I think that's something we really can't answer right now.
So
Sorry?
that's something we really can't answer, even though it's a question. And I think we have to look is what you have written, Bruce. So what I'm recommending now, we need to get the call for voting for this proposal as written. So I am asking for someone to make that motion. And second by Jean. All right, all those in favor of this proposal, please say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Abstention. 2 abstentions. Excuse me?
Abstention.
So 2 abstention.
Do I abstain if I wasn't here?
You can.
I didn't hear the.
Okay, so 3 abstention. So it's passed.
What
Thank
was
you,
the vote
Bruce.
Total?
Hold on a second.
Oh,
How many people we have? I didn't count the people.
We have 14 here, so
11 ayes and 3 abstention. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your time. Thank you.
All right, we are waiting for one more people. I would like to, even though Alice is not here, she asked me to continue. This year we know is election year for the Assembly, for the JRC, and just to clarify one thing, there's something new. Anyone we nominate for the Ledge Committee, and we do vote here. We do not vote in the General Assembly because it's representing our group. What we need to do is nominate 2 people. We take a vote here. And let me just read you real quickly. I just learned this. This is a change this year. After the nominations have held, well, that's for the JRC, but there's an additional election for a Legislative Committee representative. This election is held entirely within the committee, meaning all of us here. No nominees are sent to the Assembly. The person receiving the highest number of votes shall be the legislative representative, and the person receiving the second highest vote will be the alternate. Once again, secret ballots are illegal, so we have to openly vote. So I am open for nominations right now, and just to let you know that we do have one person who had, from our committee here, who had submitted a nomination for herself, and that's Marcia Gould, and it's in your package. So I'm going to wait for the second nomination, and perhaps while we're waiting, you can talk a little bit about why you want to be on the Ledge Committee. So hold on a second, Marcia. Terry?
I would like to nominate Evelyn Tom.
Not for the Ledge. That's for the JRC.
Oh, okay.
Wrong
Take
one.
it back.
We need another nomination because we need an alternate. So if someone would like to nominate themselves, it's fine. Billy?
I'd like to nominate Alice Lowe.
Okay, well, we have to wait until whether she wants to accept it or not also.
Yeah.
The general rule also is if you nominate someone, they have to accept. So we really can't nominate her at this point. So I think one of the things is, Marcia, would you like to, you got 1 minute to talk about what you wrote up about yourself and why you want to be on the Ledge.
Okay, my name is Marcia Gould, PSA 25. This is my 9th year being on the California Senior Legislature. I was quite active. Then I went on dialysis for a couple of years. I have a new kidney. I'm ready to begin again. And I feel that I would be an excellent representative for you if, and I've had a chance to go up occasionally, walk the halls. I like it. I enjoy the legislators, and I would like to represent this committee on the Ledge Committee.
Thank you, Marcia. Again, we'll have to wait to Alice. Is there any other nominations for legislative committee? You can nominate yourself. Remember that. So, but yes. Well, we have one nomination, but we have to know that she's accepted it. You know, accept the nomination, because we can't just vote for her at this point. All right.
So she accepts.
Well,
She needs to accept.
I'm just saying. Yeah, I'm just saying that to be in all fairness. You really need to hear what she wants to say, yes or no. I mean, you know that. Come on. But anyway, so we're going to move on until she gets back. The second second group, we will be voted in the actual assembly tomorrow morning, and we have to submit 2 names. Shirley Crone has submitted her application, and he just nominated me, but I'm going to let him nominate me again. Go ahead, Terry.
I nominate Miss Evelyn Tom.
And
This is for JRC.
this is for the JRC. And so one of the things is, Shirley, you can tell us, but tomorrow we're going to have to get and talk in front of the group to get their votes. But you want to give us a little spiel from yours, like a minute? No. Oh, come on. Okay, well, one minute.
This is my 5th year on the CSL, and I think that my background and experience, especially in working with the college university community, is something I'd like to pursue in more detail with the CSL and get more CSL members teaming up with the local universities to get them to help us write proposals. So that would be my platform.
Thank you. I'm not going to talk. You already know about me. So anyway, Alice just came in, and she was nominated to be on the Ledge Committee. We are waiting for her to either accept or not accept to be voted on.
I'm really sorry that I have to turn it down. Although, I did learn a lot this past few months, honestly. But I'm sure that everyone can learn it. Probably a little bit rough, like I went through. But
now you know?
yeah, I know it, but honestly, I think, I tell you the truth. I really feel like affecting my health. I'm still healthy, and I want to keep it healthy. If I want to stay on, I'm sure my health will go downhill. It's very complicated, have lots of reasons, but I'm sorry, I turn it down. I thank you for your nomination, though.
Alice, will you be willing to be an alternate?
How many people?
It's only 2, you and Marcia.
Oh, really?
That's
How
why
about
we're
Billy?
asking. We're looking for an alternate at this
How
point.
about Billy?
She didn't.
Billy Taylor?
You can nominate her.
Oh, may I nominate you then?
I don't want to nominate myself. I'm terrible.
Well, Billy, she's nominating. Alice is
not
nominating
nominating
you
you.
now officially. So now we have 3 people. Do you want to talk a little bit about your experience, Billy? You got 1 minute exactly.
Madam Chair, are we hearing bills or are you just doing votes?
Well, we will be finishing exactly 1 minute, sir.
Yeah, thank you for your
1
patience.
minute. We'll vote.
Okay,
after.
I've been on the CSL now. This is my 9th year. I spent 4 years on the JRC, and I spent 2 years as an alternate on the Legislative Committee. I have many other things that I do. I belong to CARA, which is California Alliance of Retired Americans. I'm also a regional leader, volunteer leader for AARP, and so I stay pretty busy.
All right, thank you. I will now turn the chair back over to Alice. We will take a vote after Senator Murphy's finished his proposal. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much. Okay, Senior Senator Murphy, would you please come forward?
Sorry, we have a short group in our committee and we need all the bodies we got.
No, that's okay. We understand. Okay, fellow policy committee members, this is page 239.
I should tell you I was summoned here for SB 13, but I have SB 10.
You're SP 10. It is
SP 10?
It is SP 10.
That's you.
Oh, well, the gal that came down said SB 13.
No, it's SP 10, sir.
No,
Thank you.
SP 10. SB 10 Silver
I hope
Alert
so.
Program, page 239. Okay. Anyone on the committees against into hearing this? Hearing not, we go ahead. So Senator Murphy, if you're ready, we are ready.
First, let me ask, how many of you were here in 2008? Only about half, huh? Okay. So you're going to hear it all over again. We went through the same proposal back then. The Silver Alert program basically is a takeoff from the Amber Alert program that I'm sure everybody's familiar with. And it has been adopted in numerous other states and very successfully. And its purpose is to get immediate response when a Alzheimer or dementia person roams out of a facility or out of a home. Currently, most local law enforcement require a 24 to 48 hour delay before they'll take any action. And there have been studies done by the Alzheimer's people and all kinds of things that numbers, if you like numbers, but they have proven that a very high percentage of Alzheimer roamers will suffer injury or death within the first 24 hours. So we need to get away from that delay of responding immediately. It is a tier level response that the locals initiate. And if necessary, it's brought all the way up through the highway signs and everything else. And we worked out all of these details last time with the Highway Patrol and the emergency services and the public broadcasters. I was very fortunate back in 08 to be one of the top proposals that came out of here. And everybody I've ever talked to anywhere loves it. And I was very fortunate. In fact, it was ironic because when we had our Senate floor session and Elaine Alquist, Senator Alquist was our honorary president, she heard me present it on the floor and she immediately said, "I want that." So I had an author without even asking. And we introduced SB 38 back then. And initially, the Highway Patrol came in talking about very heavy expenses, and they put in a letter of opposition. But I sat down at a table with the Highway Patrol, with the broadcasters and the emergency services. And when we left that room, the Highway Patrol said there would be insignificant costs, not the $20 million they were throwing around. So we went on our way. In fact, I even had the patrol testify in the Senate Policy Committee saying no significant costs. And we got out of there in consent, I believe. We went to the Senate floor and it sailed through, Senate Appropriations. No questions asked. Senate floor, nothing. Went to the Assembly Policy Committee, and again, everybody was yay, yay, yay. Went over to Senate Appropriations, and somewhere in the back room, somebody snuck the $20 million bill back into the costs, and so Appropriations put it on the shelf and then never moved out of there. Very disappointing. Hopefully, this time around, we're already working with the patrol to try to ensure. In fact, the commissioner has told his people to cooperate with us. I happen to have a very dear friend, Spike Helmick, who's the commissioner emeritus from the patrol, who's a personal friend of the commissioners, and he's been talking to him, and hopefully our contacts with the patrol so far have been positive, but they haven't taken, they won't take a position until a bill is introduced, but we're trying to smooth the waters before we get to that point. If you have any questions, I got a lot of numbers if you want them, but.
Thank you, Senator. We have Tom. Senior
okay.
Assembly Member Evelyn Tom. Thank you.
Senator Murphy, I would like to tell you that I still want to know what happened, why we didn't get it passed. In San Mateo County, we have brought this to the attention of our county supervisors. We have gone to the police. We have gone to everybody in that county. We do have an alert system. It's a general alert through email. And one of the things to share with all of you, the chair of my Commission on Aging, basically, his father-in-law stepped out of he looked like he saw him leave. And they live in Half Moon Bay. He could have drowned in the ocean. So he says, 4 hours for Amber Alert, 24 hours, the man would have been dead. They won't want, and he's got Alzheimer's. So one of the things we need to also look for, and I'm telling you, I'm fully in support of this, we have to find a way to get this approved in the state. Texas already has it. There's 9 states that have already approved this. Mm-hmm. So I'm firmly in support of this. Thank you for bringing it up again.
Thank you. Well, there are horror stories that many of you have seen and heard, I'm sure, of what has happened to people that roamed. I even had a neighbor that was roaming down the street wanting to walk from Tracy in San Joaquin County over to Concord, and I ran out and talked to her to hold her there until a neighbor came out. And another story that went on was a gentleman who roamed out of I think he roamed out of a home, and he went up the road a ways to a car dealership, and he had a checkbook with him, and he bought a car and took off and drove and disappeared and was found dead on the side of the road. So there's all kinds of things that are happening, and if we can save one person from harm or death, it's certainly a worthwhile effort. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I see 3 people's hand. One is Terry. Thank you. Terry, would you please speak first?
Not too long ago, we had a gentleman get away from a place and escaped a place in San Diego and then ended up in San Bernardino. And he was there in the hospital for 6 months and nobody knew where he was at or, couldn't find him. They didn't know anything about him. So we made a proposal to have their picture taken. When they go into one of these places, in these homes, get a recent photo so that when you can give it to the police and say, or the hospitals or whatever, have you seen this guy? And for some reason, that got shot down. And because it was, I don't want to be talking about this young lady, she's an attorney over here, but when you get attorneys involved, it gets all messed up because of, confidentialities and all this kind of stuff, so. But that's all. I support you 100%.
I can appreciate that. There are numerous various gadgets, so to speak, in various communities all over the place, and they're wonderful and they're tremendous. But we're trying to get a standardized state approach for the whole state, and use your bracelets, use your sounders, whatever, but we got to have this in place as a safety factor. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Senior Assembly Member Sonja.
I totally support this, and as we come every year to this function and watch, we all grow old together. I hope that if I'm lost, somebody comes looking for me. So, I totally support this. One of the things I ask, and I was talking to a gentleman here before we got into this meeting, is after we get done with this session and we approve our top 10 and top 4, what are the next steps for all of us so that we can assist? And how does this all get implemented? I mean, this is so important. And, I don't know how we do that or what the plan is, but what happens after here? How do we move? How do we all help you? How do we take action so that we can make something happen? And I'm not clear on that, so I hope somebody can help us along the way with how to do that.
May I respond?
Sure, yes. You have 1 minute to respond.
In December, January, whenever the Ledge Committee decides, they will walk the halls seeking an author. That's the first step. And once it is put in bill form, everybody can go to their local legislator and support it and try to get every local legislator to come on board and can write letters. There's all kinds of paths of things to do, but it's a total effort that's needed. Thank you.
Good, thank you. Now we have Senior Assembly Member Tad Kagan, and followed by Dolores Cutler, and then Billy Taylor. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I also support this proposal, Senator Murphy. I would also like to extend not only to Alzheimer, but also for those people that are developmentally developed, and perhaps other personnel, people that cannot remember, whatever that reason being. But I work closely with developmentally in San Diego, and I know this would be very useful for that particular group itself. So good job on that.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, Dolores?
I commend you also on this, but I have a couple of how-to questions. I remember, I think it was the 80s or 90s, the Alzheimer's Association had a similar kind of program where the Alzheimer's patient wore a bracelet, and so if they wandered away and were caught, people would look at the bracelet and know where they came from. However, they kept throwing the bracelet away. Mm-hmm. And what I'm asking you is, how does it connect the person the Alzheimer patient or the dementia patient and the Silver Alert system? How does one get into the other?
If it is somebody in a home, the family has to report it immediately to local authorities, and that's the trigger to start actions, and the local authorities through this program will be able to act immediately and take whatever appropriate steps there are. If they deem that there's a possibility that person's going to go out on a highway, they'll put those big signs up out there, but that won't happen every time. We have agreements that we had to get through the patrol and other people that we've got to have some system of getting it going, otherwise it gets overwhelming. So from the home they do that. If it's from a facility and somebody roams, then I should hope that the facility would contact the local police and trigger it from there. I used to be a long-term care ombudsman for many, many, many years, and we always insisted that the facilities take action immediately if anything happens, even fraud or whatever. So that's the trigger, is either the family or the facility would start things rolling.
Assembly Member Billy Taylor.
Did you hear about the gentleman in Manteca that called from a home, from a long-term care facility, called a car dealership? They came and picked him up, took him down, sold him a truck. I think he was from Modesto, and he got in his truck and he got lost, and he died in his truck being parked somewhere.
Yeah.
So this needs to be done. My brother had 2 years ago got a brain infection, and now he's into dementia, and he's lost his teeth. He lives in New Mexico. We went and visited him last month, and he lost his teeth, and they caught him going down all the neighbors asking him to give him back his teeth. So, these things are very, very serious. I have to apologize because I thought this was already passed and going.
No, unfortunately.
I thought I even read where it was, in the newspaper or the radio or something. This is the first I hear that this isn't even working. But we have to do it. That's all there is to it.
There was a lot of publicity about it last time around, but it didn't make that final jump. So.
But we need to know that. You need to let us know that when that don't work.
Okay, thank you. We have one more. Is Senior Assembly Member Camille Collishaw, please.
Yes. I have a suggestion to you. Go to Nathan Fletcher and he will push this because he was involved in the Amber Alert thing, and assemblyman. Okay?
Say who that is again?
Nathan Fletcher.
Okay, thank you.
And then I would suggest that you go to Alzheimer's, the Glenn what's the last name? Alzheimer's organizations for support.
I've already talked to the Alzheimer's people.
And
I'm
they are
working
in
with
support.
them.
Will they write you letters of endorsement?
Yes.
Yes. And I suggest that all of us sign a letter today or before we leave supporting this bill. And that's one way we could get it going. And as far as we're concerned, we could all put our names on a piece of paper, and then he could write up saying that we support the bill. And that could be, he could take that with him before this session is over.
Okay, thank you.
Senior Senator Murphy, you had this proposal since 2008. So I'm sure that within the 3 years, you probably have lots of conversations with the various senators, assembly members. Did you have any, did you hear any negative support from them or no support from them?
Nothing extreme. There was a senator in the Senate Policy Committee who was an ex-highway patrolman that raised a fuss about it, and I think he did not support it. And he said, well, I have a mother or somebody that's in this situation, and they have a bracelet on her, and it's got my cell phone number, and he picks up his cell phone, and they called me immediately. Well, number one, would she have the bracelet on? Number two, would anybody read the number off of there? And number three, is the cell phone not in a dead spot where it can, you cannot even receive? But he wouldn't listen to reason. He probably was the most difficult person in the whole process.
Yeah. I think you heard, from what I heard, almost everyone expressed idea of support. So, so if you need anything from any one of us or Ledge Committee, by all means, do it, say out loud, and I'm sure everyone will be able to help you.
Great.
Okay,
I hope you put it into the top priority.
Good. Okay.
I make a motion that we vote on this.
Very good. Gloria, there's a motion, and Norma seconded. Yes. Any further questions or discussion? Hearing none, let's vote. For all those support of this proposal, please say aye.
Aye.
Oppose, say no. Abstain, say abstain. No, hearing none, so unanimous. Congratulations, and hope you go ahead.
Thank you all. Thank you very much. I appreciate all your comments. They were well made, and hopefully if I get it through your floor tomorrow, I won't be carrying it. Terry Sonnenfeld will. He's my assembly member. I can't go to your floor. So, well, actually, it's just going to be presented because it's a consent bill. So, anyhow, on the final day when you put down your top 10.
Okay, Senior Assembly Member Evelyn Tom. Comment.
Senator Murphy, we heard it on our floor today.
I'm sorry, what?
We heard the Silver Alert, I think.
Yeah.
Well,
we did hear someone. Was that a different one?
Let me explain. Let me explain to you. That's
Okay.
a federal proposal.
Oh, it's okay.
And that's Terry Sonnenfeld is carrying that. I'm the co-author on that. We carried it 3 years ago too, but that's we decided this time. I used to carry them both, but we shared the wealth, and he's carrying one, I'm carrying the other. But,
All right, thank you. I know we heard it today somewhere.
Yeah, that's why we're asking. Thank you so much. Thank you. Okay, good. Okay, fellow policy members, we are done of the day, but we have to carry on to finish nominating the Ledge Committee members. And I'm sure the Vice Chair already explained this too. It's from Assembly, right? Okay. So that since we had some sort of interruption, so right now we had two names. One is Marshall Gold, and we have Billy Taylor. Yes. Is there any other name we can? Okay.
I'd like to nominate